And welcome to another edition of Tuesday Tips. I'm Mike Baskinelli, the Public Information Officer for the Yakima Police Department. And the topic today is tinted windows. What is legal and what is not? And joining us to answer those questions, Yakima Police Officer Ryan Erlacher, who is a member of the traffic unit. So officer, tell us what is legal and what is not legal as far as tinted windows in Washington State.
So basically we'll try to keep this fairly simple. The general rule is 24%. And basically what that means is the amount of light that's being let through a window. We can measure that with a tint meter, and it can't be any lower than 24%. It has to at least allow that amount of light going through the window. There are some different exceptions to that depending on the type of vehicle. Let's focus right now, Mike, on the front two windows of all vehicles, okay? The front two windows have to meet that 24% standard. On passenger vehicles, unibody construction vehicles, so that would be your hybrid SUVs, things like that, all the windows, including the two front windows, have to meet the 24% standard. Now, when we talk about body on chassis vehicles, on truck chassis basically, we're talking about full-size vans, full-size pickups, you know, the standard full-size SUVs. They rear of the driver, the windows behind, can be darker than the 24% because they're a multi-passenger vehicle is what they call it. The front windows still have to meet the 24% standard on those types of vehicles too.
And it's pretty easy to check. You've got a meter. Can you show us how easy it is to find out what percentage a window might have?
I do. So these are quite a few of these within the Yakima Police Department that have been issued to officers, of course, our traffic unit. And they're very simple. So an officer in this case would have the window rolled down. We'd clean it off a little bit, just make sure there's no major dirt or debris. And then it's very simple. The meter is just it's off right now, but it will turn on as soon as I put the window through the slit on the tint meter there. And we're gonna measure it in basically two different spots for consistency when you see an officer do that. And you can probably read what's on there.
That says 25.
So these windows, because this vehicle is factory, I can tell. There's federal regulations on how these are designed and what tint they can put on the window. So this one was legal out of the factory.
And those meters are margin of error too?
There are different tint meters, but these particular tint meters are accurate, and we calibrate them with glass that we have, but they're plus or minus 2, so you're right in there at the 24% standard.
Now what about colored windows, tinted with color?
Good question, Mike. So when we're talking about tint, you have to use tint sheets. Basically this color you're looking at behind us. You can't use red, gold, yellow, no colored tint. Additionally, you can't use any spray on tints. It has to be the tint sheets.
And the question would be why? Why is it important to have tinted windows only up to 24%?
Well, a couple reasons. First is traffic safety. If you've ever been in one of these cars, even legally tinted, especially at night, it can be very difficult to see. And so same thing even today on a cloudy day, it can be hard to see. And you know, at intersections when you're coming up to, of course, pedestrian safety. And so that's why they made those standards, is they want you to be able to see traffic and pedestrians. The second one is officer safety. Police officers, every time we do a traffic stop, have to walk up on these cars, and with these windows that are illegally tinted, it is very difficult to see the passengers and hands and all the officer safety things we have to take into consideration.
And if someone isn't sure of the percentage of their tint on the window, how do they find out?
Well, there's a couple ways, and I know you're going to talk about it in a minute, Mike, and that is we're going to have a program down here at the police department where they can come and get them checked. We'll have these tint meters available. Additionally, all your reputable tint shops here in town should have tint meters, calibrated tint meters. They're very aware of the regulations, so you can stop by one of those and get it checked. And then if you see one of us friendly motorcycle officers out on the street, of course, don't hesitate to come up to us, and I'd be glad to check it for you.
And again, as Officer like I mentioned, we are going to have those tint meters here at the police department this week. Actually, it'll be today through next Tuesday. You can come down to the police department from 9 to 4 and have your windows checked out. Anything else, Officer?
We get a lot of questions. The one thing I want to say is front windshields. The front windshields can't have any tint, but there is an exception. So you basically can't put sheets over the front windshield. There are some tint strips that you can put on the top of windshields. We've all seen them. They come down a certain distance. Basically, the rules on that is it has to be transparent, so we can't have any non-transparent material. So the ones that say Honda or Chevy, it's non-transparent material, you can't have that, but you are allowed a tint strip, and it can be darker than the 24% standard. It can't come down below 6 inches from the top of the windshield or down to the AS1 line. And the AS1 line is basically a mark. You'll find it on your windshield to the right side, sometimes near the center. Can't go beyond that.
Thank you, officer. And again, if you would like to find out if your windows are legal or not, come down to the Yakima Police Station today through next Tuesday from 9 until 4. Join us next time for another edition of Tuesday Tips.